friends and family of Room 15. My name is Mrs. Rogers, and this is what's coming up next week in 4th grade. In reading, we're continuing on with our comparing and contrasting. I am learning that I create more lessons than we could possibly do, and so I'll be slowing down the instruction a little bit. We'll dive into compare and contrast, compare and contrast. That's a gesture we use in our classroom. We'll be comparing that. That sound you hear is my dog chewing a bone. Hey Vader, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, he's having a good time. We're going to also be moving then into point of view and comparing those first-hand and second-hand accounts, which in academic language, once again, is primary and secondary sources. And that's how we are working for reading. You can see I'm looking over because that's where my notes are. We'll also be talking about points of view. It's really important, especially in social studies, to look at one event or one place through the lens of multiple points of views. For this point of view, we're talking about the missions in social studies and looking at them from the point of view of the Padres and the indigenous peoples. We're also using compare and contrast a lot throughout the day, and we're going to be really practicing that skill when we look at the Three Little Pigs and the drill story of the Three Little Pigs, which is the story from a different point of view. So for writing, we are continuing with our expository writing. We are writing our mission reports, and we are also doing our writer's process. Some students are still moving pretty slowly through the process, which will be reflected in their grade in their writer's notebook, or not in their writer's notebook, but on their report card for the trimester that ends on the 22nd of February. Also, talking about reading, students are supposed to be reading 20 minutes a day, and yet nobody has AR points. I'm finding it very strange that all of my students are reading 20 minutes a day, and yet since November, December, no one's finished a book. So that tells me maybe not everyone's reading 20 minutes a day. Once again, that's going to be reflected on the report card. I told students that all they need to do is either read a couple chapter books. Their AR goal is 10 points. That is however many they have, that's what I'm going to take it out of. So those AR points can be earned pretty quickly. If you read 20 picture books, that's 10 AR points. And I give 20 minutes a day in class for reading with purpose. So we might need to button down that in the classroom a little bit more. And do me a favor, and at home, engage your 4th grader in any kind of conversation about what they're doing, what they're reading, what they're enjoying about their books, and ask them about those AR points. In math, our class average spelling test was 85%. Yes. And our math test, which was the adding mixed numbers, was 93%. That's right. Class average, 93%. They all know how to add mixed numbers, and tomorrow we're going to find out if they know how to subtract mixed numbers. Then for math, for the rest of the time from now until the end of the trimester, February 22nd, we will be working on long division. I have a very specific process. It's going to look a little bizarre in homework, but just trust me. This is the process that we go through. I introduce them to the idea of what are remainders, and so you're going to be getting some math that seems simple, and so I've made sure that it's word heavy so that they're really using those critical thinking skills. It'll be questions like 19. How many times does 3 go into 19? And they'll have to figure out that 6 times 3 is 18, and so that's that number, and then the remainder is what's left. We're moving on to long division until the end of the trimester. And then for social studies, we're doing our mission reports. 80% of their grade is based on the research report we do in class. 20% is going to be whatever they create. It can be a physical representation or a digital representation. Rubrics will come home when we get closer to that part of the process. Right now, students have just they've just created a copy of the template, which if I get around to it, I'll put down here. And they've also just wrote who founded the mission. So that's where we are in the process. You will get plenty of notice, and as I said, that is 20% of their grade. And that's Social Studies with Science. We're continuing on with our regions of California. We're finishing up coastal, and then we move into mountains. If you want to do the gestures to help them really concrete, the gestures we're using in our classroom for the 4 regions of California is coastal region, Central Valley, mountains, and desert. Now you can't see my hand because it's off camera, but we do that because that's where the region is in the state. Compare talks about how things are the same. Contrast is how they're different. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Coming up this first Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We will not have school. The second thing you need to know is that I will have a sub on the 23rd. I'm going to a training on trauma-informed instruction so that I can learn how to be a better teacher. And we have a craft day coming up. Those class points have added up, and those stingers have got another party coming to them. You'll get all that information in the Tuesday information that comes home. I do know that the checklist and the WAP have been a little spotty. Please be patient with me. We are figuring out which systems work best, and sometimes when I implement something new, it will take a while for students to fully own that. But if I just push through without student ownership, then it wouldn't be about their reflection, it would be about compliance. So sometimes I do choose to go slow. If you ever have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, and if you don't, leave a comment down below. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next week. Be kind to each other and to yourselves.